All right, guys, welcome back to part number 3. In this part number 3, Anyway, in this part number 3, what we're going to do is actually we're going to deploy this application to fly.io. The reason why I chose fly.io is because it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love fly.io. Usually host all my projects there. It's extremely simple, and you will see how easy it is to basically just deploy to fly.io. If you don't have a Flyo account, I highly recommend that you go and sign up now. Just pause this video and come back after you sign up. Make sure that you can have, you do run Flyo login on it. Was it? There's a way that you basically can log in. I think it's like flyctl login, I believe. That also doesn't work. Okay, cool. But just make sure that you have logged in with your Fly account locally. And I think if you don't and you run the commands that we're going to run, it's basically going to ask you to log in. So it's quite straightforward. And now, the other important factor today that we're going to talk about is how to Dockerize a Go application. But the great thing about Go is that because it's basically a compiled language, so the output of the Go build is just basically one very simple binary that you can run, and that's about it. You can run it on whatever platform that you want. And when you run this binary, you get exactly the same output, the same exact functionality, and that's absolutely amazing. I love that so much. So let's just get started. What we're going to do is just basically we will touch a Docker file. So we are going to, is it weird that when you make things, you just touch them? Maybe it's like a thing, but anyway, it's a bit odd. Anyway, so we have a Docker file here, and what we're going to do is just basically write this Docker file just normally, and I just want you to know that Docker files are very simple. We're gonna write this, we're going to write this literally line by line, and then we're gonna build this Docker file locally, run it locally, make sure everything is fine, and then we will push it to fly.io and then build it and make the application run there. So the first thing I'm going to do is basically I am going to specify 2 stages. One stage to build, and once I build it, and then I have this very simple IO, a binary, I'm going to copy that into a different stage, and then in the different stage I'm going to run it. So I'm going to say this from Golang 122. Again, remember that you have 22 at least installed. I'm going to call this the builder stage. So I'm just going to call the builder. From this kind of like base image, I'm going to copy everything in that folder to everything on the other folder, to basically on the Docker container. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to run a couple of commands. I'm going to run a go mod download. Currently, we don't really have any dependencies, so it doesn't really matter. This wouldn't do anything. But in the future, we are going to add dependencies. You just want to make sure it's there. After we run this, we're going to run the build command. Now, basically, the build command looks like this. Go build -output of whatever you want to. I'm going to output here to Shortener. And in fact, let's just stop this for a second. I want to show you how this works. So I'm going to basically do this. Let me just check. Yep, nothing here. It's beautiful. So I'm going to do is basically I'm going to run this build command here. So I'm going to go build output to URL shorty. I'm going to change this to Shortener just to make it exactly what we're doing there, right? And the moment I do this, if I ls again, now I have something called Shortener, and that's the binary I was talking about. And then this binary, I can just simply run it. So if I go like this and then just run Shortener, I'm getting the same exact functionality that I had before. Done, and it works just like that. And that's how simple it is to build Go applications. And that's exactly what we want to do, but within the context of a Docker file. Let me just delete this Shortener that we made. Beautiful. And then that's exactly what we do here. So we're simply just doing the same exact commands, but inside the Docker image itself. Now, a couple of things here that I want to add is basically because we are going to stay away from any kind of like C dependencies. So we're going to say that cgo enabled equals 0. So this will basically make sure that we don't really need any of the C interoperability that we have because we're not using it. So don't include it into during your build and so on. And then the other thing is just make sure the Go OS in which this is going to be running at is Linux, right? So we are only making a build for Linux that has to run on Linux. Cool. And that will be the first stage. So in that first stage, we haven't done much. We just copied our files, and then we run mod download to download all our dependencies. And when we run the build command, I'm just added here a couple of flags for the build command to make things a little bit more optimized for production, basically. Awesome. Now let's just do the second stage. And in this stage, I'm just going to use Alpine latest. And this is going to be the slimmest Linux kind of base image that you can have here. And that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to call this runner in this case, which is beautiful. Now from this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to copy from builder. What I'm going to copy, I'm going to copy Shortener, which is the binary that we just made. I'm going to copy it into, just basically do that. I'm going to copy into a folder called app, just in case we need other stuff. We actually don't, but I'm just showing you how to do it in general. Copy it into app Shortener, and then that's it. We're going to expose the port that the app needs, which is port 3000. And then finally, I'm just going to run the command of exactly what we did earlier, which is app Shortener. Cool. If I haven't done any mistakes, this should be extremely simple to just build this Docker file locally. So let's do that. So let me just build the Go app with no cache, and you can see this just running exactly what we said. This should be extremely simple. Boom, or easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to run just to make sure everything is fine before we push it. I'm going to run this app. I'm exposing port 3000 on both sides. So 3000 inside goes to 3000 outside. And if I run this, listening on port 3000, if I go here and then run this, I'm getting the same exact result. And that's it. That's all you need to do to Dockerize your Go application. Just like how many? 15 lines of code? Actually, this is double lines. Maybe like 6 lines of code is all you need here right there. And that's it. It's extremely simple, and because we are using 2 stages, you know that the size of this image is going to be the lowest it can be, because it's quite optimized because we are using 2 stages. So that's about it. This is how you Dockerize a Go application in its basic form, and that is fantastic. Now, the second thing I want to do here now is going to deploy this into Fly. The way you do this with Fly is that basically you run this command, which is called fly launch. I'm going to run this command, and then what it's going to do, it's going to detect that I have a Docker image. Let me just make this taller. It's going to detect that I have a Docker image, if you see here. It's going to create a project in here, and then it has a Docker file. That's fantastic. And then what they're going to do is that basically you're going to run in Fly, and it will give you the things that it's going to use. Basically, I'm here in South Korea, so the nearest fastest region for me is Singapore, and then they give me the shared CPU with 1x, and that's really simple. I don't need to change any of this, so I'm just going to say, do you want to tweak anything? I don't want to tweak anything at all. Do you want to tweak this before proceeding? I don't want to tweak anything, and that basically is going to run this up for me. So the hostname is going to be goshorter.fly.dev, and then what you can see happens here is that we have this fly toml file. Let me just make this taller. So this fly toml file will basically document how this Fly app is going to work. So the name of the Fly app is GoShorter. The primary region here is Singapore. There's nothing much in the build section because we have done this Docker file, and then Fly is smart enough to basically just know that they only need just to run this Docker file, build it, and push it. And then there will only be one service, which is going to be HTTP service. This is by default, they already know what port we are going to run in. They already forcing HTTPS. And these are some just like very simple stuff, kind of like Fly specific stuff. This is basically not to stop the machines if there is no request coming through, and to start the machines if there is a request coming through. And then this is basically will hibernate to 0 if you don't really have anything running there. And then the process is called app. This is very simple. And then this is going to specify what kind of virtual machine they give us. And in this case, we just specify the memory. This is the lowest it gets, 1 GB of memory, and the CPU kind is shared, and it's only one kind of virtual CPU. So this is the simplest kind of like app that you can run on Fly. And this is it. This is just basically how you can run things on Fly. And you can see here that it's taken time now to basically run all these commands. So now the image is done, and then they are pushing the image to Fly. I am just going to pause this and come back once this is done, because this might take a little bit of a long time. All right, so we're back here. What happened is that we basically have pushed the image. It's really cool here to see this, that the image size is extremely, extremely small. that'd be really cool because the size of the image is only 15 megabytes. Obviously, this is an extremely simple app, but it's really cool to see also that the size is 15 megabytes because I think the Alpine image that we're using is actually around 7 megabytes. So we just added another 7 or whatever. So that's fine. And then finally, we have see here checking the DNS, and then your newly deployed app is already at goshorter.fly.dev. So what I'm going to do instead is basically I'm going to make a request to that URL. So let's do that. Let's just go like this. This is HTTPS, and this is goshorter.fly.dev. If I curl this, I should get hello world. Beautiful. And then other one is let's just make a post request, and it's the same thing here. HTTPS, and then we're going to go shorter.fly.dev. There's no need for that space. Go shorter.fly.dev, and then we just send it to shorten. Let's wait for it. It works very well. And that's it. This is how simple it is to build a Go application and deploy it to fly.io. Just a couple of commands. We just wrote a very simple Docker file, and then we basically just ran fly deploy or fly launch, and that's it. We got a URL right there, and everything just works. So right now, what we have done so far until this part 3, we have made a very simple HTTP server in Go using nothing but Go standard library. We have accepted a GET request, we accepted a POST request, and we have actually deployed this application to the cloud, and you can visit it now. It's go-shorter.fly.dev. And that's about it. I'm going to stop this video here. In the next video, we will look at how we can start actually making a URL shortener. I'll see you then.